Coach, a solid win on both sides of the ball for your team against a very good Southern Utah team. Just talk about the amount of offense you guys were able to produce, first time in a long time, no one's really sure when, over 600 yards of total offense. So talk about the type of offense you were able to produce against a really good defense.
It's something that we expect and should have had it before now, and we knew it was there, and a lot of that is on the other side of the ball, defense playing well and getting us the ball back. You can't have 600 yards if the other offense is doing well. So our defense keeping them under 300 yards, that's a good offense. Scored a lot of points last week, and they're capable of doing that. But proud of our kids, how they came out and executed. We were a little rusty to begin with some throws, but Brady stayed very aggressive and found some of our guys off, made some nice checks off of some run plays, and got some guys in the open that made plays.
Coach, was there anything that you saw on film leading into the week that made them susceptible to big plays?
They're a little different than last week, actually a lot different than last week, but we felt like that they might get very aggressive to try to stop Jerry. And when you've got a weapon like that, then they're going to have to be aggressive and get towards the line of scrimmage, and we've got good receivers, and those guys were getting open and getting some big plays. So, it's fun because we talk about it every week. We're always wondering what they're going to do and how the game plan is going to unfold, because we don't know until we get into the game.
Coach, you alluded to it just now, having a weapon like Jerry Louis McGee. What does his presence allow you to do with players other than McGee?
Well, it's huge. It's when a defensive coordinator looks at a guy like that, you better stop him. And then when you have to overplay to stop Jerry, and I still think he had 100 yards in the first half. I don't know what he had on the game, but he is big for the team, and that's what it's all about. It's about the team having success because you've got a superstar there that they've got to stop. It's fun to get in the ball any way that you possibly can, and that's all I've heard, since the first couple games is, more Jerry. It's kind of like more cowbell. I think that every time he touches it, everybody ought to act like Will Ferrell, and we'll get the cowbell going, a little Blue Oyster Cult. But if they want more Jerry, we'll find ways to get him the ball.
And are you using him as a decoy in some instances?
It just happens that way. The play is there, and then the quarterback does a great job of, hey, it's not there, so we're going to do this, or we've got to check to somebody else. And Brady's got things going on all the time that you don't know as a fan that he's got on. And then they take Jerry away, and he goes back to James. He's got a skinny post to James, and so it's fun. And when you get a quarterback that can actually really grasp this and go, it's tough to stop.
Coach, you had that 1 point lead right before half, and it looked like maybe you're going a little conservative, and then you get a score out of it, and it ended up being a gut punch. What was your mentality going into that drive, and were you hoping to actually get some points?
Anytime right before the half, you got to be a little bit careful, because you don't want to be too aggressive, and then you hurt your defense. You make a mistake, and I don't remember exactly how that went down. But we've always got aggressive stuff on, and Brady's just got to make good decisions of, is the risk reward there, and then I think that was the one we ran a wheel route to Calhoun right before half, and that was we had just run the same exact play the time before, and we had a penalty, so we ran the exact same formation and double moved them.
Did you feel like getting that score there really changed the momentum of the game?
I felt good for us to get that lead, but it's really a different mentality. You're not going in going, gosh, I'm glad we got the score, because now we can just ride this thing out. Our guys are ready to come out and play a second half of football, and the first half doesn't really matter. I love that about our defense and our offense is they just want to play the next play, and nobody's worried about looking at the scoreboard in this league. You're really doing something. And it was great to get the win, but it was so disappointing not getting the win last week, because we felt like we outplayed them. We feel like we're a better football team than them, and just unfortunately, we didn't make enough plays down the stretch to get it. But this is a good win, real strong, very blue-collar, tough football game today.
James, this is the first time you've been really counted on for an entire game since you've been here. Did you have any nerves going into the game, and when did you kind of settle into the flow of things?
Really, I just came out, played my game. I trust my coaches and my offense, and I knew we were going to get it done from the get-go, so no nerves there.
Was there anything that you guys were taking advantage within the coverage, or how were you able to get over?
The corners kind of bailed real fast, so we'd run little short routes and catch the ball and get upfield. So,
James, I'm wondering, going back to what I asked Coach about using Jerry as a decoy in some instances, do you think that helped? 6 catches today?
it just kind of happens that way. Jerry's a great athlete, great player, so I mean they got to be worried about Jerry McGee. And so when they do that, other people got to step up. And today I tried.
Brian, the interception was kind of a bang-bang play, but can you take us through that and kind of how that developed?
Yeah, so they were running a lot of frontside power, but they were trying to cut it back because we were getting a lot of push frontside. So we kind of, in the second, or at halftime, we made the adjustment to kind of play the backside slow just in case they cut it back. And they flared that guy out, and the tackle tried to cut me. Got my hands on him and just kind of tried to get my hands on the ball, and it just kind of ended up right between my hands. And got to make that play for my team. And I wish I was faster. I might have scored, but it was good.
Brian, how much was much pressure on Southern Utah's quarterback?
It was good. I mean, we only ended up with 1 sack, but I think we hit him about 15 times, and I think that definitely factored into the way his mindset and how he knew that he was getting hit a lot, and our corners were doing well, our safeties were doing well covered, and we just needed to keep getting there.
Is that something you guys talk about, putting him on the ground, even
Oh, yeah.
if you're not getting sacked?
Oh yeah, it's just we're always a step away, just 1 step away, and we were a step away about a dozen times today. If we were just a step quicker, we probably would have had about 12 sacks today, but I think we only ended up with 1. But when you're hitting the quarterback, even if you don't sack him, it gets in his head for sure.
Coach, what did you think of the targeting call on Justin? It seemed like he wasn't sure if he was going to slide or not, and he kind of slid and then bang play.
It was very close, and Justin's a hitter, but he came in with his shoulder, and unfortunately, when the kid slid, he kind of just slid down, and the helmet ended up flying off, and we'll have to look at the tape to see if it actually started with his chest or started with his helmet, and Justin's not trying to hurt anybody. He's just a hitter.
You had a young kicker who's doing so well in the first couple games, and now he's starting to have a little bit of inconsistency issues. Are you worried about him at all, or are you just trying to keep the confidence up for him?
He was perfect on the year until we threw him out there at the end on a 49-yarder at Cal Poly, and so I think he was 6 for 7 or something like that, which was better than what we were last year at this point. And today he just was not striking the ball on the extra points, and I tell those guys that you can't have a bad day here, and you've got to come to play because the team needs you. And next man up, and we put Brandon in, and he kicked it low, and so we put Semenza back in, and they got to know that they've got to execute, and the team needs those guys desperately, and so we'll see how things go in practice, and I think Tim's got his head on straight, and he's mad at himself, and he'll be fine.
You guys were really balanced today, both in the distribution of the ball, but also running the ball as well. So is this the highest level of execution you guys have had offensively since you've been here?
I think both running and throwing. You think back last year late when Brady came back against Eastern Washington and the Cats. Those were a couple pretty good games. But as far as just really feeling like you're having your way with them there for a while, that we haven't really had that feeling for very many times.
James, how about just the whole offensive production? What's it like playing a game like this where you guys are putting up yardage like this?
It's fun. It's real fun. Our offensive line did a great job. Gave Brady time. Brady threw the ball well. running backs, they really got after it too, so it's just a lot of fun.
And Ryan, I wanted to ask you that we saw a lot of guys on defense today making plays. Just in a game like this one, it's pretty long. How much does that help if you guys have some numbers that you can throw to?
It's huge. I mean, we're very deep, especially on the D line. We got guys running around the secondary, and our linebackers are good, and we're staying fresh, and that definitely takes a toll on an offensive line, on an offense as a whole, because we're fresh, and they're getting tired, and we pride ourselves on that, and we're gonna keep it up.
Coach, as a guy who's an offensive minded guy, you hear you get 600 yards. It's the first time in 3 years an offense has produced that here. What is your reaction to that?
It's just really what we wanted to establish. This is what we want to do. This is our offense. This is what we did at the other place, and this is what we expect every week. And once you start executing and everybody gets on the same page, and our offensive line is playing phenomenal. You throw the ball as many times as we throw it, and you get one sack. It's pretty darn good. Brady's getting the ball out. Guys are catching it. That's what this is all about. And so that's what you hope you get to that point, and then you just keep getting better. We could have been a lot better. We had some drop balls a few times, and Brady missed some guys where it really truly should have been over 700. So really not satisfied with it. Happy with the execution. Very happy with the win for the team, but we should have been better.
Your young playmakers, do you feel like they're turning a corner now, especially the receivers, since there's so many new guys in that group?
Definitely, and you got Calhoun the second week in a row that he's come up big, and James had a big catch last week when we needed him, and he stepped up today, and we're still trying to find those guys. All of our receivers are new to us, and you don't know when it's crunch time who's going to come through, and that's what we're trying to find, is who can we put out there where if you got one play to win the ball game, that's the guy I'm throwing to. And we're getting a little bit better idea of who those guys are now.
You got the Calhoun brothers that are both just producing at quite a high level already as really young guys. Does that feel like, you look back at that signing class, that was a big deal for you?
It's huge. It's huge. We hung in there with those guys, and some other guys made some mistakes and missed on not taking them, and we appreciate the FBS schools passing on them, because they're pretty solid.
Okay.
Thanks, fellas.